The last time I saw her, she waved at me and that was it.
Police identified the body of 22-year-old Katrina Jefferies.
Somebody in the community knows what's happened.
This person has strong local knowledge, sexually motivated. It all indicates that the offender is known to us. There's a connection.
This is a solvable homicide.
It's just too coincidental.
We all have daughters, sisters. People need to do the right thing.
New cold case. Next on One.
As you can tell from that video clip from stuff.co.nz, we are going to be talking about the murder of 22-year-old Katrina Jefferies in 2005. A couple of things before we get started on the video. Welcome back if you're coming back, and welcome to New Zealand Mysteries if you're new. So everything you need to know about our channel is in the description box below. There is links to our Facebook page where we share these videos. Make sure they get shared all over Facebook, you know, hopefully getting to the right people who need to see them. Links to the website, which has an extensive database of missing people and unsolved murders in New Zealand. There's also links to all the sources that I'm going to use, so you can do some investigations on your own if you want to look further into it. And on the website also is the pictures, maps and that sort of thing. So if you want a better look at stuff, you can go there as well. And the links are also ways you can support the show. For example, you can buy me a coffee for $3. It's a little but goes a really long way. And last of all, if you can hit the subscribe button, and if you like the content, hit like or dislike if you want, whatever you prefer. Love to have you on board. Let's get going. Now, these articles are all based on a cold case program where detectives get together and look at the case. It was aired on New Zealand television in 2019, and we're going to look at what these detectives talked about and so forth. I'll have a link in the description box below if you want to watch the program yourself. It is still available on TV NZ. So let's start at, again, stuff.co.nz. Katrina Jefferies' body was found rolled down in Auckland Bank like a pile of rubbish. That's the phrase Detective Inspector Vakaruru keeps using on Sunday's episode of Cold Case. It seems to signify the callousness of Jefferies' killer. They treated her like human trash. Katrina's body was found partly rolled down a bank off Waikofi Road in the Auckland suburb of Hillsborough in the morning of Tuesday, 12th of July 2005. The site was often used by locals to dump rubbish. The dog walker who found her thought it was just more refuse until he saw a hand poking from the red tarpaulin and black plastic bag she was wrapped in. Now, if you're not from New Zealand or even Auckland, this is the upper North Island of New Zealand. And if we go the right way and go into the suburbs, we will find Waikofi Park, which was mentioned. All the video, all the pics and maps and everything is going to be available on the website. In the cold case program, Jefferies was described as being at high risk of being a victim of crime. Jefferies was 22 at the time of her death, and her life seemed to have been in a downward spiral since her teenage years. Her friend Fern Day described her as sweet, kind, and a genuine and honest person. She also described her shock when in high school, Katrina told her she was dropping out because she had been bullied for some time, and not a fan of bullying, I can tell you that. Mother Nicola Jefferies says things got worse for Katrina in 1999 when her older brother Ben, who was close to her, they were close, drowned at sea. Her mum said she didn't care about herself after that. Katrina Jefferies started drinking heavily. She would head out all night to party with people she met on a phone chat line called Hot Gossip. I'd never heard of that before. She used drugs. At 19, she became pregnant, and her son was only 2 when she died. Now, I'm leaving out some things that I don't think have any bearing on the case, but I do want to remind everyone that on this channel we do not victim blame or shame at all, and we think that everyone deserves a chance, no matter their mental state or their addictions or whatever else they were into. So on the night of Sunday, June 10th, she left her mother and son at home, saying she was off to the liquor store. Her family never saw her again. When her body was found on the Tuesday morning, it was in a state of undress and wrapped in black plastic, a red tarpaulin and a yellow PVC raincoat. Her mother had already reported her missing. We are going to take a look at those items shortly. Police have never revealed the actual cause of Jefferies' death, describing only as highly unusual. They did clear someone. There was a sort of partner, not really a partner, but a guy she hung around with anyway, and he was cleared. Her missing clothes and the injuries around her head and neck suggest a sexual element to the crime. The perpetrator was likely a local. They knew the Waikowhai Road Bank was a popular dump site. For the first time, the detectives revealed that Jefferies received an incapacitating wound before her death. At that point, they think the perpetrator would have had to choose between going for medical aid or letting Jefferies die. And of course, if they wanted to go for medical aid, they would have got in trouble. So, yes, this is one of the most solvable cases that I've featured. And I really reckon as a team we can solve this one. Jefferies likely died on Sunday night or Monday morning, and the killer stored her body until Monday night or Tuesday morning. So, did they store her in a spare room or in a garage or a shed? Did you just remember anything like that happening? That may have alluded to somebody around that area hiding somebody. They probably had help, maybe a family member, in dumping the body, and they did it in a hurry. Jefferies was only rolled halfway down the bank. A witness reported seeing a shirtless man leaving a car near Waikowhai Road at a time when Katrina's body was likely dumped. A nearby CCTV camera recorded a car entering and leaving Waikowhai Road in the same time period. It may have belonged to the perpetrators. Now, the CCTV is in the cold case program, but really all you can see is car lights. You can't see anything else at all, but you know, if you want to have a look at that, definitely go to the episode. They say the killers often try to hide bodies because they have a personal connection to the victims, so Katrina's killer was probably known to them. Police revealed for the first time that several items that Katrina had on her on the night she disappeared have never been found. These include a black duffel coat, a pair of size 10 maroon slip-on shoes, and a black Walkman. And it actually was a Walkman, a cassette one. I thought they were long gone by 2005, but apparently not. They obviously would like to hear from anyone who has seen these items. Perhaps the most incriminating piece of evidence discussed in the episode was 4 items of refuse found near her body: the yellow raincoat and red tarpaulin, a large landscape print, and a painted piece of marine plywood. They have all been linked to a single address. Now, this is unusual. They know, or they have linked all this stuff to a specific address in the area. But obviously they need more information to get further, so this is why we're reaching out. The psychologists think it's likely the crime was committed at this address and the items grabbed in a hurry to attempt to conceal her body. Police hope the public might be able to provide more information about these items. If the address link is correct, you'd think police have some pretty strong suspicions of who killed Katrina Jefferies. Just a little more information could prove crucial in making a conviction. Now, So obviously they just need one more piece of the puzzle, and someone's holding out, someone knows something, and they're protecting somebody, or they're scared. We're going to have information in the description box below how you can anonymously contact Crimestoppers and get this off your chest finally, because it must be a hard thing to carry around. There were 2 rewards posted, one of 50,000 and one of 100,000, which did not bring any new information, which I find crazy. But obviously some people have been holding on to this, and they're finding it hard to bring it to the surface. So let's take a closer look at some of these photos of these items, and hopefully someone will know something about them. So this was saying that after the cold case episode, there was a reward of $100,000 for information in the hunt for the killer of Katrina, but obviously no one came through, which is it's sad because it's just so close to being solved. So let's go to this picture, and it just shows how close to her house she was. So up here at the right is her house, and down here is where her body was found. Katrina's body was wrapped and covered in a red tarpaulin, yellow raincoat and black rubbish bags. Police believe the young mother had been killed elsewhere and transported to the reserve, where she was thrown down a steep embankment off Waikowhai Road, just 1 kilometre from her home. So let's take a closer look at some of these items. So sadly, this was what the dog walker found. Thinking just another pile of rubbish, which is common to that area, and then they seen a hand sticking out. So that's something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives after seeing something like that. It's awful. Although police have traced the red tarpaulin, yellow raincoat, black rubbish bags, and a large landscape print and piece of marine plywood also found with Katrina's body to one address in the Mount Roskill area, they believe there are people who know more about these items and how they were used the weekend that Katrina was killed. This, of course, is the yellow raincoat. I can't see what it says on there, but it's actually quite distinguishable. I mean, hopefully someone might recognise it. This is the landscape picture that was chucked on top of her body as well. I have to think that somebody would remember this or seen this before. This is the red tarpaulin. Another item that's quite distinguishable. Usually tarps are blue from what I've seen. It's a big one, so another item. And this is apparently a piece of marine plywood. Looks like it's been cut out for a particular placement. Hopefully someone might recognise that as well. Police ask, can you help identify who had these items? Now, Katrina left home on the Sunday night, 10th of July 2005. She was wearing blue tracksuit pants, a black duffel coat, burgundy slip-on shoes, size 10, a peaked cap and a black Walkman cassette player, and these items have never been recovered. So of course, if you know any of these items, if you've seen anything, then they want to hear from you. Again, police have released CCTV footage of a car going down Waikowhai Road in the early hours of Tuesday morning, 12th of July 2005. They also have a corroborating report of a dark red burgundy vehicle parked at the top of Waikowhai Reserve around this time, with its boot up and a person with his shirt off walking away from the vehicle to then Caltex petrol station that was across the road. So, were you in that area? Who is this person or people with this car? And you can probably link these people with the photos that we've just seen of all the objects and trash that was thrown on top of Katrina. Likely to be the same people with this car. So police want to hear from anyone who was in the Waikowhai Reserve or Hillsborough Road area in the early hours of Tuesday morning, 12th of July 2005. Now, I will put all the information where you can contact police in the description box below and on the website. So we're just going to take another look at an article from stuff.co.nz, and there's another picture of Katrina, not one that's most widely circled. So it just gives us a little more around the case. Katrina Jefferies was found dead halfway down a bank in Waikowhai Reserve in the central Auckland suburb of Hillsborough, July 12, 2005, and Detective Inspector Vakararu said her body was left like a pile of rubbish. Police said she was last seen by her mother leaving their home on Whitmore Road in Mount Roskill 2 days earlier, and the address that the stuff was linked to was in that Mount Roskill area as well. Vakararu said police were not giving up hope of solving the case and would continue to do everything to hold those responsible for her death to account. He said, "We believe this is a solvable case, and we know there are people out there who have vital information which will result in identifying those involved. Next month will mark 14 years since her tragic death, and we hope this new reward and appeal for information will bring in info from the public. The reward has run out, but I hope that someone's conscience and they'll want to get it off their chest, and someone will want to come and do the right thing." He continued, "We know there are people out there who know what happened to Katrina. Relationships and loyalties change over time, and our hope is that someone who has knowledge of Katrina's fate will ultimately do what's right for Katrina and her family and come forward to police. We are hoping that these new details will result in critical information being provided by members of the public." Her mum, Nicola, said nothing could take away the heartache of losing her daughter, and the fact that Katrina's son had to grow up without ever getting to know his mother. It's just tragic on all fronts. It's awful. She said, "We want justice for Katrina, and it pains me that her killer is still out there somewhere. Our family want to move on, and I still hold out hope that police will find who did this." In 2005, Katrina's body was found by 2 men walking a dog at Waikowhai Reserve. Her body was later removed by a cherry picker type crane. And when I think about having to use a cherry picker type crane, that embankment, even though it doesn't show in the photos, it must have been quite steep if they had to use something like that. She was last seen by her mother on July 10th wearing dark tracksuit pants, a white shirt and burgundy shoes. Following the discovery of Katrina's body, police launched Operation Waikowhai, and inquiries were carried out over the years by a team of detectives. In 2007, a $50,000 reward was offered by police for information leading to the identity and conviction of anyone responsible for her death. But obviously, nothing came of it. In 2011, Coroner Gordon Matenga found Jeffrey's death to be a homicide, but suppressed the cause because the case remained open and police needed to keep information quiet to sift through false alarms. The coroner was told by a forensic pathologist, Timothy Kohlmeyer, that Jeffreys was not killed at Waikowhai Reserve. Miss Jefferies was not killed at the scene where she was found, but in all probability had been killed elsewhere and her body left there in Waikowhai Reserve. They talk about that piece of marine plywood, saying perhaps cut to line a boat, and then with the yellow raincoat, red tarpaulin and large landscape print found. Also revealed on Cold Case was that Katrina received an incapacitating wound for which her killer would have made the decision to leave her to die rather than seeking first aid. And like I said, I will have information in the description box below and on the website where you can submit to the police anything you know. Now, in that previous article, we heard briefly a bit about false confessions or false information coming forward, and I wanted to share this one article with you because it's interesting if it's real. Obviously the police don't think so, I don't know, but it's out of it anyway. A woman, this is actually from tvnz.co.nz, One News. A woman One News has spoken to has learned explosive and very personal details surrounding the murder of 22-year-old Aucklander Katrina Jefferies. Our source says her friend confessed that her own car was used to dispose of Katrina's corpse in that reserve. She says she was heartbroken and angry to hear her own son was allegedly forced to help with the body dump, and she claims she knows the man who killed Katrina Jefferies. But 7 months after she tipped police off to the new information, nothing has been investigated. The woman told One News, "I just told the police because I want to know who murdered that girl." She says, "To have my son involved, to have that young girl that's gone, we need closure." The woman said she had never heard of Katrina Jefferies before her friend made the revelations last year. When she went to police informally last October with the information, detectives talked to her about items found with Katrina's body. She said, "I remember that tarpaulin and the yellow raincoat. That stuff used to be sitting in the garage at his mum's place." Police refused to be interviewed about the revelations by One News, instead releasing a statement. The investigation into the murder of Katrina Jefferies is ongoing and will shortly be the subject of an internal peer review, Detective Inspector Kevin Hooper said in a statement. Information passed to police is being assessed and will form part of this review. The review of historic unsolved cases is a standard police practice that allows for reassessment of further investigative and evidential opportunities. We remain committed to bringing the persons responsible to justice. We are mindful, however, that this remains an open and ongoing investigation, and because of this will not be drawn on further aspects at this time. But the woman says police have yet to take a formal statement from her. Now, this was in 2016, so obviously a good 3 years plus before the cold case program was made. And I don't think I remember in the cold case episode them talking of anything about this. It's odd, but let's listen quickly to this person on video.
I found out through a woman who was a friend of ours. They had used her car.
So your friend said they had used
Her car.
her car?
Well, I found out that my oldest son was made to help dispose of the body. I kept going back to her because I wanted to know more, especially when she said that my son had no choice.
The police asked you, I believe, something about property that was on Katrina.
Yeah.
What did they ask you? What did they ask you about the
If
property?
I recognised the raincoat, the tarpaulin, the socks.
So the tarpaulin, the coat, and the socks all belonged to you believe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you in any doubt that that stuff was his? Could have it been someone else's?
No. No doubt it's his stuff.
Now, I'm unsure what to think of that video and what the woman is saying. And the fact that the police have linked stuff to an address, whether this is the same people, I don't know. It's yet to be seen. If you want to watch that video again, I will have a link to the source in the description box below and also on the website. Of course, I want this story shared wherever, as much as possible, everywhere you can, across Facebook, YouTube, you name it. This is one of the most solvable cases that I've featured, I'm pretty sure. It just takes that one person to finally think, bugger it, I'm not going to cover for this guy anymore or whatever, and realise that they need to do the right thing and how better they're going to feel when they get this shit off their chest. pleading to those people, if you know anything, please come forward. You know, there is a young man who's had to grow up without knowing his mother, and that's just tragic, and tragic for the family as well. Thank you for watching once again. I'd love to have you back. Remember to hit the like or dislike button or comment down below. Let me know what you think and your thoughts on it. Thanks very much. I'm out.